219-845-1100. Let's work on. Hello, you're on the air. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. This is Ron Matlock. Very familiar with that area. Actually, that was in my precinct when I used to live in the Miller. That's the Glen Ryan area.
All right, so
Miller.
Tell people exactly where you think this is.
Well, that's at Utah, where the intersection, or where you could go into Glen Ryan, or you could turn and go into Adna, make your right turn at the light.
Okay, so it's kind of between I-65 and the Miller station, correct?
Between between I-65 and the Miller station, exactly.
And then it's really kind of closer to I-65, and so. Goddard's saying that the trains get going pretty fast through there. So Miller, and then the next.
Let me tell you. First of all, let me condolence to that family. I might know that I might know the family because there have been several over the years. Over the last 10 years, there have been several train crash and fatalities at that site, and I don't know why. And again, I'm not going to say that they were doing, but I do know that they tend to go around. I just basically want to give my condolences to the family, whatever reason, Sometimes people get in a hurry. There, and the next crossing there would be at Clay Street, the crossing. And there have been several fatalities there, right across from Christ Baptist Church, So it's I don't know. It's in the last 4 or 5 years, there have been 5 or 6 people, besides the 5 that you're talking about this morning, got killed at that site. And I'm gonna. What time did this happen? Because I'm gonna make some calls to the Miller area, Glen Ryan, where I live, and see maybe somebody. What time did that happen, Jim?
Hold on. Terrible crash last night around 10 p.m.
I got a strange call last night. I don't have to follow up on that. It was probably about 11:30 or 12. So I don't know, and I don't know where I got it. I was asleep.
All right, what's the name of that church again? Christ Church.
Christ Baptist Church. That's on Clay Street, and that's the next crossing there that goes into Glen Ryan. Glen Ryan is a subdivision of Miller. Okay, you got Adna on one side of 12 and 20, and Glen Ryan on the other side.
All right, I see Christ Baptist Church. So you're saying Utah crossing over?
Utah is west of there. Right.
Okay, so
you basically got 3 or 4 crosses going into Miller area.
And all right, so hold on. So is this one of those crossings over the tracks that you can see from 12?
No, that was they reconstructed that. No, that just came about late on because people didn't want the train, and they made the overpass there. No, that's not. No,
okay.
Basically, where it used to be the big wheel there, they tore it down, and there's a motel there or something.
Yeah, I know where the big wheel was. All right, so now I understand. If you're just joining us, a horrific crash, train versus vehicle. According to Paul Goddard in Region News Source, 4 to 5 fatalities. I was following him last night where he was saying that he'd never heard that kind of trauma or that kind of tone in the first responders' voices on the radio calls last night. I didn't log in or anything. I just figured he'd cover it and I'd be here in the morning. But just kind of goes to show you that it's just it happens in the region from time to time, and it's complete condolences to all the families involved. We don't know the exact total or where they're from or where they were going or what kind of vehicle it was. I can't even tell from the pictures. But Ron, you're saying that's a dangerous intersection as it is?
Well, any section is dangerous. Yes, it is. But again, that train had a speed because when it leave basically Lake Street where the train station is, they could get up a speed to full speed, maybe 60. And so when it comes through there, a lot of times people say, "Well, I'm in a hurry," they go around it, thinking they could beat them, but you can, don't take that risk. Like I said, I'm not putting out there that they were going around it and just because they were in a hurry. I'm not saying that because first of all, my condolences will be to that family, whatever reason.
All right, Goddard just sent me a map here. Okay.
And if I find out any different, I will call back. I'll find out. I might know who they were. If no, I'll call back. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, call me back. Thank you. It's just horrible. Thanks a lot, Ron. I got a map here now. So it's kind of a semi-industrial area. It's right by T&B Tube, by 7th Avenue, and right off of 20. So this is where the tracks are right next to 20, and then they got to go through there, and Utah Street, man. All right, so between I-65 and Miller, the new Miller Station, if you guys have never been there, it's amazing. That Walsh Construction was part of that. I can't remember who else, but I know that if you look at the South Shore train, there is, some, discord, I guess, on the fact that they were able to do that double tracking out to the east, and they got it all done, I guess, under budget and on time. And Walsh Construction did that one, and then on the west side over here, going through Hammond and Munster, it keeps getting delayed, and I hear all different stories about why and what how the utilities have gotten in the way somehow. So you have that, that line running pretty perfectly actually, and between, let's say it splits, it's gonna split, and it's gonna come into, like, say you're coming out of Chicago, it's gonna come into the Hammond station. And then you'll be able to take the spur that will go to Dyer along the west part of the county. And I've seen the Munster station and the Lyman station. I ride my bike over there, and they both look amazing. They got nice parking lots. The Munster station is right next to my brother-in-law and sister's bar there, 313 Tap Room. And I'll go in there from time to time and just kind of have one, especially when I want to go by myself or Alexis is doing some law thing at night and I just want to have a beer. I'll go in there and sit there. But they have live music, and it's kind of a busy little area. And then the Munster station on it's right next to Manor and Ridge, and then you go further south, and the Dyer station, Bob Starkey and others from Dyer have talked about that a lot on their Town of Dyer show. I will say this, if you want a podcast, I had no idea that this was going to be so popular, okay? But we just basically started as a student-run project of Adriana Alvarez and Matt Kaufman and now Cimino, Joe Cimino, the Andrean, and now he's at P&W, and Kemper Fain, and now AJ Preboy, who was over at Munster, now he's at Carthage College in Wisconsin. There's like 5 of them, and they produce all the shows, and AJ works on the marketing side, but I'm like, well, people come to me and they want a show, maybe not a radio show, maybe not a TV show only, but they also want a podcast. They want to podcast it. And it takes a while to build up a podcast. Your average podcast that sticks around takes 2 years to build up, so you got to get people who are dedicated. But evidently, there's a bunch of people who are dedicated, so I think they're meeting with 2 people on Monday and Tuesday that want their own podcasts. And part of it is that it becomes a huge marketing thing for your business. I mean, you can do a blog, you can do a podcast, you can do just put your website up and then email people and tell them how great you are. Or you can take that next step and say, I'm a town or a city, we want to be transparent, we want to tell the whole region about what we're doing. So you would do the live radio show, and it would also be on TV live. And then they would podcast it later and put it on Apple and Spotify, and it's very popular. So if you want one, please get your name in, because they really can't get to everybody right now, and it's just how it is. And there's a little bit of a waiting list. So if you put your name in now, we could probably get you in by mid-July or something like that. Today I will be on the air. I'll be on the mic until noon, as I do one of my podcasts, and that is Mastering Local Marketing. If you're into local marketing, if you want to learn how to market your business as cheaply as possible, I don't talk about my stuff. It's almost all social media. We'll get to more some of the other ways of doing things like direct mail or radio, but it's mostly about my streaming video of JED TV Sports Network, and our podcast network are certainly part of Mastering Local Marketing, but it's mostly Mastering Local Digital Marketing. And why is that? Because Matt Hansen hosts it, or comes on it with me, and he's the professor over here at PNW, and he knows all about this stuff. But that's just one of many on the WJOB Podcast Network. So there you go. I don't know how to reset this. I'm looking for more and more info that's coming in, and it is a horrific crash of the South Shore. I imagine, I don't know, is it running this morning? Anybody have anything on that? Does anybody take the train, or, oh, my husband went over the train and it was closed, or whatever? My guess is that, well, let me go to Nick D's website and see if we can get something there. It wasn't, let's see, yeah, I don't see anything. All right, service updates and fare increase, thank you. No, I don't have anything posted on the Nick D website on this right now, which does not surprise me. And we'll leave it at that. So if you're just joining us, Goddard saying that it's 4 to 5 people killed, and it was train on vehicle between I-65 and the Miller Station in Gary, if you guys know where that is. If you don't, it's like, say you're in downtown Gary and you start driving down 20 towards Miller or the beach, and then you're driving down 20, go past I-65 and the toll road. They kind of come together there. It's kind of a huge intersection. And then you go a little bit further, just a few blocks, and then that would be where one of the many little roads that go across the tracks. And looks like that's where they hit this vehicle. Ron Matlock, he said that used to be his district when he was elected official there. Said that that it's a very dangerous intersection. There's been accidents there before. So, anyways, let's play some 219 News Now and reset. Horrific condolences to the families. We don't know who they are, where they're from, what kind of situation it was. We just know, to put it directly, that a bunch of people lost their lives last night, and there's been, and I do want to say this, that these kind of accidents where it is past your ability to comprehend how horrific it would be, well, go out even past where you could even kind of really think about it. And then the first responders have, that's their job to address the cleanup, and if there was anybody possible that they could have saved in that vehicle, I'm sure they were going at it. But someone's got to clean that up. Someone's got to deal with the mangled mess of a vehicle, and someone's got to deal with the bodies that may also be very mangled. And so my heart goes out to the first responders that are dealing with this situation right now. I do remember that when the two trains, they were going at each other. It was when it was a single track out that way. I think it was Porter County, and it was right near the Porter Lake line, I think. and the two trains shared the track. Now recently we've separated that, so you don't have this problem anymore. But you had to wait for one train that was going eastbound to go finish, and then the westbound train would go. Somehow they got their signals crossed, and the two trains hit head on and killed a bunch of people. And certainly it was horrific. But I ran in, years later, ran into one of the first responders, and he was telling me that, it still haunts him, and that there were others that were haunted even maybe a little bit more deeply with some PTSD and with, some mental effects of that, and that it lingered. So you don't really kind of think of that. It's like, all right, well, I have condolences to the families. These other families got it, mom or dad comes home and, they've washed themselves, so they don't have that. But that's part of the equation too. So, all right, I'm going to reset. I'm going to play 219 News now. I got a bunch of other stuff to talk about, but we have to deal with things as they are, not as we wish they were. So take a short break, and I'll be back. If I get any more information on this wreck, I'll bring it to you. But for now, let's hear from Andrew on the 219 News Now. So much in there, and thanks a lot to Jasmine Williams. She is a incredible find. EC Bishop Knoll, now she's down at IU. We got some major talent coming our way, and you will see Jasmine as she works her way up the ranks, as will some of these others be taken away from me as we train them and send them on to bigger pastures. But I just got to comment on that. Boone Grove, of course, is a JED TV affiliate, and we have had them on the TV we've streamed their games all year long. We knew how the Cabrera brothers that are both going to IU, Javi and I forget, Damien, I think. But the Cabrera brothers, that's all I ever hear them people talk about them, and they are the real deal. And Boone Grove kind of sliced there all the way down there. Also, Dave Pishker and Andrain, we had them on this year. I got to give it to Pishker not only for his, I think it's his 9th ring state title, but he made a big jump for me, and I think you guys should recognize this, and I think for all of us. And then we televised a few of the games that he had out there right behind Andre in high school. He was very much against it, and now he's kind of like, wow, that's kind of cool. We got more exposure. People watched it. They won the games that they had, and it was a positive experience for everyone. So if you guys wonder why I'm not doing the show as much as I do normally in the mornings, because of that. Because we have this massive sports network that came out of nowhere and has taken up our time, in that we're trying to fill a void where these kids, these high school athletes need to be on TV, and all the high schools want to be on now, most of them, and we can't take everybody because we don't have the resources or the money or the funds, and I'll talk about that some other day, but we're trying to get there. We're working pretty hard on getting there so that we can service, every high school in our area. But the beauty of high school baseball and softball this year cannot be overstated, and the amount of people that watched it cannot be overstated also. And so anyways, congratulations to the Wolves on that one. I'm going to take a short break, and then I'm going to continue on. Brent Brazier was supposed to be here and kind of sitting with me, but he had something that came up and won't be part of it this morning. But I think Brazier and I will eventually work together here on the morning show. All right, I'll be right back.